Morning everyone, it's Fiona Whitten from Oakville Crafts here, and welcome to another card and a cuppa. So this is our second one of May. Wow, May. So hopefully those of you who purchased a kit have it in front of you. If not, don't worry. All the details and cutting instructions and things will go up on well, there will be a link to my blog and things later, and to this is going to get recorded and put up on YouTube as well, so you'll find all the information. It'll be all sorts of places basically. So this one this week features the Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper. And those of you who got the kit probably looked at it and thought, oh, we've got such a tiny little piece. But I think this is one of the sheets of paper that actually drew me to this pack of 12 by 12 paper. And I guess it's kind of the way you do it can be kind of retro. So this is all I've got left of the sheet. So it's just rows and rows and rows of trees. And I thought actually cutting these up and making a feature out of these rows is actually really nice. So that's what I've done for the kits for this week. So your kit, should you have it, will have an envelope, a piece of, this is cinnamon cider, and it's A4 that's been cut in half, so it would have been 21 centimetres across, and it's a full length down, so I've cut it at 10.5 and gone down the full length. There is a piece of basic white, that's for the inside of your card so that you can write on it. There is a panel of cinnamon cider, which is slightly smaller than the card front, so that is 10 by 14.4. You will have a piece of Bumblebee that's been cut. You'll have a Mossy Meadow stitched rectangle. I don't know if you can see the light. There you go. The stitching on it. So that's the stitched rectangles. And then you'll have a piece of the Designer Series paper, which, amazingly enough, fits just nicely inside that stitched rectangle. I mean, the other side is just plain green, so I mean, you could use that and then just stamp a sentiment on that if that's what you really wanted to do. But I think this actually makes a really, really cute focal point. And I mean, you can use this sort of card for any time of the year, for birthdays, for moving home, all sorts of things. And then you've got a small strip, which actually we're going to use that side, we're going to use the green side. And then you've got, this is just a remnant of what was left on from edges and things. Morning, Sally. This is what I'm going to use for the inside. Okay, so that's what your kit contains. Put that to one side, and I'll just show you the two cards that I have made. So this was my original design. So I have simply glued that rectangle of Designer Series paper onto the Mossy Meadow rectangle, then onto the Bumblebee rectangle, put my strip down the side. I didn't put it directly to the edge. I wanted it so that it would be under this focal point when I put it on. So I glued that on. This is then on dimensionals. And then I put the whole of that, and then put it all onto the side of cinnamon cider, and then I put the whole thing onto the card front. So there are two layers of dimensionals. So there's one here under the panel, and there's one here under this particular panel. So morning, Jackie. Morning, Linda. And then on the inside, what I did was my piece of scrap, this piece. Some of you will have longer pieces. Some of you may have the trees going right across. I simply just cut it in half diagonally and then put one half here and the other half there. So that's what I did with that one. That was my first card. My second card, as I flipped the card, so instead of it being landscape, I made it to a portrait card, which does mean that the fold is at the top. But I know some of you much prefer to do portrait rather than landscape. And funnily enough, that piece of Bumblebee fits neatly just across that cinnamon cider panel. And so I glued the designer series paper direct to the stitched framelit, the Mossy Meadow. And then I actually then used foam pads on that one to fix it to the Bumblebee. And then I simply glued the Bumblebee just to the top half of the strip. And I could have just had those bits. But again, it's entirely up to you. So then the Bumblebee is glued directly to the cinnamon cider panel. And then the whole thing is glued to the card front. So this has less height. You will probably get away with this as being normal first class. In fact, you can probably get away with the other one as well. And then I stamped a sentiment on here. So I actually used the sentiments from the Beauty of Friendship stamp set. So this is the stamp set that is designed to go with, well, the paper is designed to go with the stamp set, but of course I can't send any stamped images, so we have to make do. And I think we make do very splendidly with just paper and dies and things. So this is, that's just a basic tree shape. And then you have, and these ones you can use, and it's a two-step stamping. These ones you can use together singularly. You can use them for treetops. You can use them for bushes. This is for a larger tree and a different shaped tree. So I used the thinking of you, and I just simply stamped that again in cinnamon cider onto the card front. And then I used this little splotches stamp here. And I use that, and it kind of looks like paw prints as well, but it's a sweet little splotch. So I just did cinnamon cider and Bumblebee splotches down the side of that, just to decorate the inside of the card. So that's the two cards that I've made so far with the kit. I've got other cards to show you from this weekend's annual catalogue launch, so I will share them with you in a minute. But first of all, I think we're going to just crack on and make the third card to go with this. So I wonder if I put my kit. I buried it again, probably knowing me. You know me, most of you know me. I have a habit of moving things around and then burying them. Oh, there we go. It was inside the catalogue. Funny that. Right, so this is the kit that we've got to play with. I don't need my envelope at the moment, and I don't need my base card or my piece of basic white. So the $64 million question is, what am I going to do? And I'm actually going to cut up. Now, this is up to you. You can leave this piece here as a solid piece. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this piece of cinnamon cider so that it fits just neatly around the piece of Bumblebee. Now, I have a ruler. I had a ruler. You know what? I will just use my paper trimmer instead. Let's face it, it does have centimetre measurements along the top. So my piece of Bumblebee is 10 by 5. So I need to cut this piece so that it's 10.5 by 5.5. Now I know that's only 10 across, so I'm going to have to cut it this way. So 5.5. I'm going to make it by 10. Like that. So this piece, when it all gets put together, should, in theory, just sit neatly together so that you've just got layers like this. Except I've obviously gone and cut that the wrong way. If I can only cut it at 10, what a wally. Yeah, why didn't someone tell me? Right, luckily I do have another piece that I can cut up. So let's try again. 5.5. By 10.5. So that's a piece from a scrap box. Right, so I have my layers like that. And then this, I can then either put as a portrait card or as a landscape card. But there is one more thing that I'm going to do. I don't actually want this piece to go right across. So I'm going to cut it. So it is from it's 3.5 wide. So I'm going to cut it into a 3.5 centimetre square. Which end do I want? I think I might use that end. There we go, like that. It does mean going through a tree, but what the heck. There we go. Let's move this out of the way because I don't need it now. So I have this piece. Now I can put it in the middle or I can put it to whatever side that I want. But what I'm also going to do, that little splotches stamp. So I'm going to actually use the coordinating stamp set so that you can see what you can do with it. Now I want Mossy Meadow ink. Now if you don't have any Mossy Meadow ink, you could use Versamark because I want a tone on tone effect. Now this stamp set is a photopolymer one, which means that you do need something slightly soft underneath. So I'm going to use, I'll put it that way, my Stampin' Pierce matte. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do some Mossy Meadow, and then I'm also going to do some Versamark, just so that you can see the difference. I'm going to take that away for the moment. It's just a question, you just basically ink up the stamp and then just stamp onto here very randomly. And remember to go off the edge, like that. Okay, so that's that. I can always come back and do some more. Important thing to remember is to clean the stamp, because the last thing you need is to be putting ink onto your Versamark pad. So if I bring in my Versamark, let's just make sure I'm doing that. So I'm just simply going to ink up with the Versamark and then I'm going to stamp. So you should be able to hopefully see this. So it's a far more subtle image. Quite like the idea of having the two different sorts there. Where else should I go? Go there, I think. And then I think I might do some more. And then it doesn't matter if you take the Versamark to the Mossy Meadow, by the way. It's fine that way round. You just don't want to take the Mossy Meadow to the Versamark. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Close everything up so I don't end up with my fingers or my elbows in it. Clean the stamp now so that I don't forget. So this is a Simply Chamois, which is doesn't look very pleasant because I just continually use it. It's great for all your stamps, and it just holds on to the ink, which is why yeah, it kind of looks a bit manky. And then all I do every so often is I go and rinse it out. Some people have said that they put them in the washing machine, but I haven't actually been brave enough to do that yet. And then I just keep it in a single stamp case to keep it moist, because and the air gets to it slightly because there are slight gaps around this. If you put it into an airtight container, sometimes it goes a bit hard, and you'll find over time it will dry out and go like a bit like a biscuit. So, but don't fret about that. Just go rinse it under the tap, and it'll go all soft again. So there's my piece of paper that I'm going to put back on here. And then I'm going to add one other thing, which is a piece of linen thread. So if you've got some linen thread or something small, you don't want it thin, you don't want it to be too thick, you could put some ribbon on. It's up to you. So I'm going to just simply tie this around a few times, and I'm not going to be too fussy about making bows and things. It's not like sort of card that warrants a bow. So I'm just going to tie it in a very simple knot. She says even tying knots sometimes are just too much. Let's see. There we go. And if it's not in the right place, don't worry about it. I just tend to bend the card a little bit and then just move it around so that it's then in the place that I want it to be. Let's cut off the excess. I don't really need that much on there. One bit. There's the other bit. Now, because you've made this into a square, you can, in fact, make your card portrait or landscape. Is really up to you. So if I just show you what it looks like. So this is how it looks. Portrait. So it'll look like that. And then this is how it will look landscape. So this will just fit the width of that. But you could also do it that way and just switch the paper around, because the paper at the end of the day is, you've cut it as a square. So you can then glue this together whichever way you prefer it to go. So I think I actually quite like it as a landscape card. So that's what I'm going to do, portrait card. So that's what I'm going to do. And then with this, it's up to you as to whether you want to just simply glue it together or to use dimensionals. I mean, you could go further and mat this. I don't want to put this straight at the top, and I don't want to put it directly in the middle. I mean, it's in the middle going sideways, but not the rest. And I think this bit I will glue. And the other thing that you do need to remember is make sure that you, when you have a stitched rectangle, that you've got your stitching going the right way, because there is a right side and a wrong side. Oops. Right, you will stick. Actually, I don't need that anymore, so let's move that out of the way as well. I've got more of a solid base. Oh, not done very well here with the glue. Let's put a little bit more in there quickly. That's that. As always, it's everywhere. So I'll do that. Then I am going to get my Stampin' dimensionals, which I have handy. Give me another 5 minutes and I'm sure I'll misplace them. You don't need to go too mad with the dimensionals. Just one each corner and one in the middle. It's not a heavy card. It's not like it's got lots of heavy embellishments and things where it's going to buckle. Put that on there, and then I need my base card. So I'm going to put that on here like that. And again, I'm going to put some foam has some dimensionals underneath it. And then the $64 million question is, do I want to stamp a sentiment on it? And I think that I will. Now, where's the stamp set? So we've got thinking of you, I believe in you, hello, thank you. I'm actually just going to use the hello. That's just that little stamp there. Let's take this off the block and put it somewhere safe. Corner of an ink pad. It's the problem with the photopolymer stamps is that you can lose them. So you kind of want to have something that you know you can... I quite often like to keep a block to one side and then just stick all my stamps to that. Then I know where they are. Now, do I want to put my hello straight in there, or actually I'm going to go in the corner? I need to bring in this again so that I've got... So this grid paper is actually the grid paper for the Stamparatus. So once it gets a little bit mucky, I kind of just take it out and use it for other things. And it's great for putting under stuff if you want to, if you've got an image that you're stamping that's not all going to go onto the card front. So I've just inked up, line up the base of the card with a line, so I know that's, at least that is straight. And then hope that what I have done and stamped is also straight. So that's my hello. That's going to go on there like that. So put some more dimensionals on it. So we've only just used one little part of that piece of double-sided paper. And if you were to use all of those images and you get 2 sheets of it, you could probably make quite a few cards with them. So that's my card front. And then I just need to do the inside. Now, I do have left that piece of the green that I was going to use. So I think I'm just going to simply glue that to the bottom of this. The trees, you could just about get away with it, but I think I'm just going to use the green. Glue that on. So it's just slightly wider than the piece of basic white that you've got for the inside of the card. So you will need to glue it on first and then cut off that excess. Like so. Oh, morning, Angie. Bit of glue. And then just going to put that inside. Like so. Now, because we've used that, we've actually got a couple of bits left that we could, if we wanted to, glue onto the envelope. But it's up to you as to what you want to do. I'm not going to glue them. I think I might stamp on mine in a minute. So that's the card that I've just made. And these are the other 2 that I made yesterday, a while ago. So that was the original, using everything as it was, as I had planned it. That's the second card that I made in advance, and then this is today's card. So they're all from the same kit. Admittedly, yes, there is some stamping on this one and that one, but obviously you can use your own stamps, or if you're interested in buying the Beauty of Friendships stamp set, then please get in touch. there is a set of dies that go with this, and the cards that I've got to show you now use the dies. So I did completely different card for the card in the cuppa, not the card in the cuppa, the make and take for the open house, the catalogue open house. So that uses, so this one, this is what we made. So we had 3 strips of the paper, so this is different paper. Where's my... So the paper that we had was this piece and this piece. So they had two strips of this and a strip of this. I decided to use this, and it's kind of a wintry scene. So this would be great for Christmas cards and things. So it's 3 strips, a piece of cinnamon cider which had been run through the cut and emboss machine with the coordinating bark 3D embossing folder. So you can get a bundle, which is the stamp set and the dies, or you could buy the whole suite, which is the stamp set, the bundle, so the stamp set and dies, and the embossing folder and the paper. Or, of course, you can purchase them individually. It's up to you. So a piece of cinnamon cider, which had been embossed using the embossing folder. Rectangle, stitched rectangle of Mossy Meadow. Stitched rectangle of basic white. And then this tree here is from the dies. So if I just show you what the dies look like. So the dies look like this. So this is the little tree that I used to make. So it's a cinnamon cider tree, which I then embossed with the same embossing folder as that piece. Then I die cut 3 pieces using this little die. So it gives you a solid shape. So I die cut 2 pieces of old olive and 1 piece of Mossy Meadow. And then 1 piece of the Mossy Meadow and 1 piece of the old olive I ran through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine again with this piece, which is obviously much bigger than this. But what it does mean is it gives you this variegated canopy, which I thought was really sweet. And then it was up to people whether or not, in what order they wanted to actually put the tree together. So I started off with my solid green canopy, glued my tree to it, and then I glued the Mossy Meadow piece. Now you could have put the old olive piece on as well, and in fact I do have one. So this is another one. So you've got more variegated green on it. So it's got both the old olive and the Mossy Meadow on, but it also means that you don't see as much of the branches. So you had the option to do this way or this way. And I quite like being able to see the branches a bit more. I don't know about you, but all my trees around here, you can see a lot of branches. Yes, there's a lot of leaves, especially when it comes to clearing up. But so I went that route. So I don't know what everybody else did. So that was that. So that was that card. So that was from the Make and Take. This is the larger version. So this is this big tree. Like that. And then, so that's the cinnamon cider bit. So it's bigger and it's a bit more spikier. These pieces are sort of more rounded and squared, whereas this is a bit sharper as a tree. And then it's simply the same thing again. Cut that solid die, which is now gone on the floor. Cut out two of them from memory. No, I only cut out one of them. So I cut out a Mossy Meadow one. And then this die actually has got an edge on it, so you can just use it to cut out the variegated piece. I had to use it on this one here by cutting out the outline already first, because obviously this just goes over the whole thing. And then I added 2 of the little birds, so there's little birdies in here. And they come as one die, but you've got one looking left and one looking right. So that's this paper here is the same as that one. So this time I actually used some Cajun craze and some cinnamon cider. And then the birds are Night of Navy. So that was another die cut card. And then the other card that I shared was this one. So this is the a stamped image. So I used the cinnamon cider to do the tree, and then I stamped in old olive, which gives that solid sort of variegated. So I used. I used that one first, and it's a distinctive stamp, so it means that some of it will come out darker, some of it will come out lighter, and then I over stamped with the Mossy Meadow in this. Excuse me. So that was what I did for that card, and then again we've got some paper on there. So that's just some card ideas using the dies and all the stamps, or so that's those. And I think that's all I have to share today for the card and a cuppa. June's card and a cuppa kits, you have until 8 o'clock tomorrow night to order them. So if you haven't done so, please pop over to oakvilleCrafts.com and then click on the classes tutorials card and a cuppa kit tab at the top. What else is going on at the moment? So we've still got the host. So if you host a party, it doesn't need to be in person. If you've got a big group of friends who love to craft and like Stampin' Up, then we can do something. And if you host that online or whatever, I know we can start meeting in person now, but I don't know about anybody else, but still kind of not quite ready to do that yet. So that's going on. And then there's also the what is there? The join offer. So if you love Stampin' Up and would like to get your Stampin' Up items at a discount, then why not join the Acorns? And that means that you get to have fun with us on Monday mornings and on like team meetings and things like that. And then obviously you can shop for yourself or for friends. It's up to you. There's no pressure to sell. And then you get the ongoing discount until at least the end of September. So something to think about. It's up to you. And I'll be back next week, because there's just 2 more Wednesdays in the month. It's kind of crazy. I don't know, I always thought May was a short month, but I think it depends on where we actually started the month. So this is the second card and a cuppa, but yeah, I've got 2 more. So I've got 2 more Facebook Lives to do this month. Thinking about doing more, but I'm still waiting for the internet to improve. That'll happen at some point. But anyway, so that's it. I'm going to love you and leave you now, and I will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.